Hey, what's going on? It's Kevin Carr from Mike Boyle Strength and Conditioning and Certified Functional Strength Coach. In today's video series, we're going to talk about the push-up. We're going to go over how to coach the push-up and then how to manage progressions and regressions for all of our clients here at MBSC. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go over how to set up for a proper push-up, because if you don't set up well, you're going to have a hard time performing the exercise correctly. So I'm going to have Ken demonstrate here as I give you some coaching cues. So Ken, let's have you go down to the floor here. It's important first to help them establish hand width. So Ken, just get on all fours into a quadruped position, and you want to teach your client first where do their hands need to be. Sometimes your clients are going to line up too close or too far. You want them to be just slightly outside the shoulders. I want them to spread the fingers nice and wide so he has lots of ground contact, and we want to teach him how to create some tension in the shoulders first, because sometimes they slouch like this, or they're going to push themselves too far away. You want them to kind of find that happy medium and then teach them how to use his lats. So the way we want to do that is cue them to try to screw their hands into the ground. Imagine like they're going to try to turn their hands outward, except their hands aren't going to move. It's going to help him get his lats turned on. You feel that? Good. Then we have him brace his abs from the quadruped position. He's a little bit more supported so he can get his abs nice and tight. And we're going to help him understand what a good spinal alignment is, right? So we want to see 3 points of contact from the head, the thoracic spine, and the top of the sacrum. And a good way to do that is just to use a stick. Makes your job a lot easier as a coach, and it allows them to get some feedback as to where their spine is and their head is in space. So if he can kind of just tuck his chin down a little bit, you'll see he has contact here, here, and down here, right? This will let him know where he needs to be. Then, keeping the abs tight, he can bring the legs straight back into the push-up position. You want to have the feet fairly close together so that way you then get a good glute contraction. If the feet are too wide, they can't brace the glutes that tight, right? And now, Ken's going to think about trying to pull himself down into the push-up slowly until he's about this far off the ground, a couple inches, and he's going to press away, okay? Nice and slow, he's going to lower himself down, press himself away from the floor. Good. You can relax. So when you're teaching your clients to set up, some things to think about, again, just to review, make sure you establish hand width first. Then teach them to engage the lats by screwing the hands into the ground. And then we're going to help them line up their spine with the stick across the back, connecting 3 points of contact through the head, the thoracic spine, and the hips. A lot of your clients, when they first come into you, won't be able to perform a push-up very well flat on the floor. So you have to have an effective regression to be able to teach them and then let them get stronger from there. Classically, coaches a lot of times would have clients go perform push-ups from a kneeling position. Now, we don't do that here. We like to have our clients maintain a long torso and perform push-ups on an incline so we don't shorten the core lever. So a really effective way to coach push-ups when we need to regress them is on a squat rack, okay? So you can find the correct height for your client to start on. The higher the rack is, the easier it'll be. The lower it is, the harder it'll be. And then the setup's going to be exactly the same. So Ken's going to line up his hands just outside his shoulders, okay? Again, cueing him to externally rotate. Cue them to try to bend the bar in two. That's going to get his lats on. Again, we want that nice line from the head, the thoracic spine down the hips, butt nice and tight, and he's going to think about pulling himself down to the bar, engaging the lats, coming about an inch off the bar, and then pressing out. Now, sometimes your clients are really going to struggle to brace their core effectively here. Usually the limiting factor with push-ups in a lot of your clients is not necessarily going to be the upper body strength, but their anterior core stability. An effective cue you can use is to have them squeeze a pad in between their knees if you see their hips sagging. So what Ken's going to do is just going to squeeze this RX pad in between the knees. That's going to get him a little bit of adductor activation, a little bit of core activation. It's going to help him brace a little bit harder, and that's usually going to clean up that sagging hip push-up that you see classically. With some practice, we're just going to slowly lower him over time towards the floor. Once he can perform up to 10 reps here well, we're just going to move down a notch week by week until he gets down to the floor. Once your client can perform 3 sets of 10 to 15 really good push-ups, you want to start to think about progressing them. So our first way to progress people here at Mike Boyle Strength and Conditioning is to elevate the athlete's feet. Now, you don't want to elevate them too high. We don't want to have them doing a handstand push-up. The highest we typically elevate will be about to a 12-inch box like this. So Ken's going to set up. Same exact setup. Again, we want to see nice straight line throughout the back, lining up his hips, his thoracic spine, his head, squeezing the glutes nice and tight. He's going to think about lowering himself down to the ground. This is just going to increase the demand on his chest to press up from there. After he's mastered that, you have a number of options of how you can add load. Okay? You could use a plate. You want to make sure if you do this, you place it. You don't want to place it directly over his scaps. You don't want to place it all the way down his hips, just right here, and just make sure they're comfortable. You want to make sure this isn't digging into his back. Okay. Another option, usually a little bit more comfortable, would be a sandbag. You can place the long way along the spine, and it even allows you to grab it to kind of control the load. I like to use that one a lot. You can relax. And then lastly, if you want, you can use bands. Okay. You can have the client wrap it around the shoulders, tuck it right around over the hands, and you can use band resistance. So however you want to progress them, after they've elevated their foot height, wherever you want to add load, you can start to progress them from there.